Hello, all, and welcome to another episode of Here to See the Shelburne, Season 2, Episode 13, if I'm not mistaken. I'm your host, Nevin, and here to talk through, well, another disappointing weekend for the Reds. We have Dunny and Collie. How are you, lads?
Evening, Nev.
Hey Nev, I hope you're well because I feel pretty down.
Yeah, of course. Not only did the men's team blow a two-goal lead at the weekend, the women's team did similar out in Tala on Saturday, but we'll start with the men's team. No point messing about. Because there's just so much in it to analyse and discuss. Joey and the lads obviously didn't think that all these 3-2 losses were dramatic enough. So they upped it a notch to 4-3. I think it's best with so many comments coming in. I'm just going to lead with them. And Dunny, I'll start with you. I'll direct this one at you from Fran Sherwin. Yeah, why not this one? Lads, it's time to call a spade a spade. It's not happening. There's been no improvement to the coaching setup to a starting 11. Joey is clutching at straws trying to get a win. We gave out about drawing too many games. I would gladly take some of them now. Dunny, you can take it from there or just give your own analysis, however you want to do it.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think I'd agree with Fran on the later part of his point there regarding it was a mantra not long ago that if you can't win a game, don't lose it. That was the sort of the Joey O'Brien calling card, and we had a lot of draws. And I suppose the tail end of last season in the league was when we started turning them into wins. Things clicked properly for us and gave us that great push to finish in third place. But yeah, you're a kingdom for a couple of draws now. Like the difference it would have made just to the atmosphere and the vibe around the place. Like if those 3-2 defeats, for example, had ended at 2-2, then I suppose it feels like things have just snowballed and week on week they've gotten more, the stakes have risen, but the performances have not risen to match them. And even though it was a good first half on Friday, frankly, I'm sick of the sight of Shell's players running in to grab the ball from the net at this point, because it's 3 home games in a row now where we have scored to equalise. And then it was against Pats, against Dundalk, and now on Friday last against Drogheda, where we've equalised, ran into the net, shoved the keeper out of the way, picked the ball up, ran to the centre circle, and from the combined full-time totals, obviously, of those 3 games, we have come away with 0 points. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to know what to say. This is 4 losses on the bounce, 3 home losses on the bounce, 3 points from 21 available at home, 14 goals conceded at home in front of our home crowd this season, which is more than the top 3 teams in the division combined. We're conceding on average 2 goals a game, which means, it wasn't long ago we were worried about, or certainly certain elements of the fan base were concerned about where the goals were going to come from. We're scoring quite freely. We're scoring in almost every game, but we are conceding almost. Like I'm looking here. I have a whiteboard here. My regular notepad wasn't sufficiently big to fit in all the events that happened the other day. Sorry, apologies. I know it's audio only, but
Well,
I a novelty-sized whiteboard here full of scribbles.
Hold that up, I get a picture of you.
That we'll put that up later.
There was Drogheda had 10 shots in total. Only 5 of them on target and 4 of them went in. So, yeah, I mean, it's look. I'm sure we'll get into the sort of minutiae of it, but the long and short is it's not good. It's getting probably worse. And yeah, I'd agree with Fran Sherman there 100% that if these were draws, things would look very different. But unfortunately, they're not. And like I think I don't know. Maybe Collie, would you agree that when Drogheta's first goal went in on Friday, I kind of felt like it was inevitable that we probably wouldn't even get out with a draw, which I think is quite damning.
No, not fully. I thought the jitters started at 2-1, but I still thought there was enough there from the first half that we wouldn't end up losing the match. I did turn to uh, the people beside me. It was Fran Sherwin and young Liam Byrne at 2-2 and said, we are going to lose this game. It was at 2-2. I said, we're going to lose.
They walked that goal in, didn't they? That second one. I wouldn't have any confidence in anything Shell's
The
related.
second goal was very similar to the goal we conceded where Cotter scored for Derry. Players around him and sort of sauntered in between two players and scored. And I'm going, you know what? Just give away the penalty. Make a bloody tackle. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself there a little bit. There was so much. I don't know. I have notes here as well, and I'm just like, I don't even know where to begin with them, because it was like it wasn't just conceding 4 goals in a match. It was conceding 4 goals in 45 minutes of a match. We went in 2-0 up, and I don't know what happened at half time, but Drogheda came out a very different team, and we certainly came out a very different team, because I did say at half time that I felt that although we were 2-0 up, there was gaps in the midfield and a better team would punish us. Well, Kevin Doherty isolated those gaps, saw what was going wrong, and then we got cut open down the right-hand side twice. Unfortunately, Caffrey comes in for criticism there, but I think he's been played out of position, and he was, if you remember, once before against Drogheda. I know, granted, he slipped, but he has been seen in that position to be a little bit vulnerable at times. So why have we done it again against the same team? That's not learning from your mistakes.
No, I thought it was curious. I actually couldn't sleep properly Friday night, and I woke up. I woke up about 5:30 Saturday morning, and over a coffee in the kitchen, I actually sucked it up, and I listened to the 4.5 minute Joey O'Brien interview, where he didn't name check Caffrey, but he made it pretty evident who he was talking about. That he brought it up more than once, that he was particularly unhappy with the concession of the second goal, and of course it would have happened directly in front of his vantage point there on the touchline on the main stand side. So what I found quite curious about that was that he seemed so perturbed by what he had witnessed, and yet we could all see it happening in real time. It was happening right in front of him, and Evan Caffrey was substituted off in the 89th minute with the score at 3-4. So I don't know how you can be so unhappy with what you've seen and leave it so long to do something about it, particularly when you have Sean Gannon in the dugout alongside you, the winningest right back there's ever been in the game, and of course James Roach as well, who has deputised in that position before, and maybe with sort of youth and a bit more experience in that area, perhaps even just his legs and a bit of freshness might have been able to do a better job. And I agree with you. It's unfortunate on Caffrey. He came to us as a young central midfielder. He's been played wide right, wide left sometimes when the wingers have switched, then right wing back, and now all of a sudden, in an orthodox fullback. And I don't think he would probably say that right fullback is his preferred position, but that's where he found himself, and I think he was hung out to dry a little bit, not just so much in the comments after the game, but being left on for 89 minutes when...
Yeah, Dunny, expand on that, because what does that do to a team in terms of, there's a comment in here from Noli Morrow that says, there appears to be a severe lack of confidence in the group. Once Drogs pulled the goal back, there was panic in the town, even amongst the fan base. This has to change very soon. I just want to expand on that. How do the players feel? Like, we'll stay with you, Dunny, in terms of Caffrey
Sure.
doesn't look too confident to me when he's on the pitch. Not his old self from 2024.
No, certainly not. And there's very few players, I think, that are. Harry Wood may be the exception to the rule at the moment in that regard. But I felt that I'd agree with that listener comment completely, that there was a shudder that went through the entire stadium, 4,500 people, all of whom of a Shell's persuasion, getting a sort of a collective shiver up the spine at the same time. And players know, and the fact that the concession was from a set piece, and we know that the players are heartbroken trying to rectify the set piece situation. It looked like maybe we had somewhat in the first half because we scored from one and a defender scored, so that's like two hens' teeth at once. But like, if Caffrey's having a bad game or is being isolated and poked and prodded at like he was, I think taking him out of the firing line after an hour or so there's nothing wrong with that. Sure, Joey's been whipping people at half time almost on a weekly basis at this stage. So leaving him on, I don't think has done anything for his confidence, nor will it make Sean Gannon coming on in the 88th or 89th minute. That's not going to do anything for him when the game is effectively already out the gate. It's very clear. Collie put it very well last week, I thought, when he said that. I think I used the adjective brittle, but Collie said that we sort of breathe life into other teams, and that's exactly what we witnessed in real time on Friday. That as soon as that goal went in the 51st minute, so we had less than 45. We were 2 goals to the good, with 40 minutes to play at home, and we've managed to concede 4 in 40 minutes. But collectively, heads dropped. People got nervy and so on. And look, again, not that it's Paddy Barrett's fault per se, but we did warn about the dangers of looking to simple answers and be like, oh, well, when he comes back, we'll be all right. I think the fact that we've conceded he's been back 2 games and we've conceded 7 in those 2 home games. Says 6 the Derry game, sorry, 6 in 2 means it's just not good enough from anyone. So I disagree with leaving Caffrey on. I probably disagree with playing him there in the first place and having 2 more orthodox right backs on the bench. We got away with it first half. We did plenty of good things in the first half. It should have been, people were feeling good at halftime. Sean Boyd broke his duck. It's great to see. It gave him confidence. Again, like I said, scoring from a set piece was great for us. Paddy Barrett, a defender chipping in with a goal. These are the things that every other team does, but we have struggled to do. And it kind of felt like, okay, well, I think Drogheda hadn't won a match in 11 attempts.
I had it down as 9, but
9. Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong with that too. But it doesn't really matter.
You're probably right.
It doesn't really matter because they're
low on confidence. Yeah, they're low on confidence is the point. And at halftime, 2-0 down against a team that has not won in a long time. They've got no fans in the ground. Our dander is up. Paddy scored a goal. Boydie's scoring again, and the capitulation that ensued then after they got that goal is it puts the 3-2s, as you mentioned on the intro, Nev, it kind of puts those 3-2s in the halfpenny place where we actually, you could argue, despite the terrible first half against Dundalk, you could argue we showed a bit more fight in those 3-2 games that we lost. This is just plumbing the depths even further, and frankly, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable if we want to stay in this division. Never mind have any ambition beyond that.
No, certainly not. I mean, you said it there, Boydie and Barrett scoring. It was like 2024 all over again. I was like, yeah, brilliant. And Boydie's goal was he just slotted it in so easily. And I was like, this is how easy it is, lads, against a team like this. Sorry, no disrespect to the Drogheda goalkeeper, but he did just place it in. But on that, Collie, I will direct this at you, a comment from Paul Anthony Kelly. Okay, we're 2-0 up. But Paul Anthony Kelly writes in to say, badly missing a leader in this group of players. Nobody in there angry enough, no hunger. Life's too cozy for too many. And at the end, Mark Coyle in midfield, anyone, question mark. Mark's gone. We'll move on from that. But are we missing that type of player? Or just anyone to take it by the scruff of the neck?
Yeah, well, I have written down here, last week we spoke about being brittle, and then Dunny has mentioned it again today, and it goes beyond brittle. We are just out and out soft. Even when Caffrey gets skinned, and I don't want to harp on about that particular out in the left for Drogheda and our right hand side. He got skinned twice. There was still an awful lot to be done when he gets beaten, and yet players, the first one, player goes between two players, scores, and the second time it comes in from that side, no one is tracking back to collect, and it falls out to I can't recall who the Drogheda player was, but he slots it away well. But he had all the space in the world to put it away.
Warren Davis.
Warren Davis,
yeah.
Sorry, he had all. You can't give a player like that time. So at that point, no one is taking responsibility on the pitch, from what I can see. I think sometimes I noted we had 3 yellow cards. One of them came from Boydie mouthing off at the ref. Lundgren came on, and it looked like a clumsy kind of half pulling out, half not wanting to give the free, but ended up giving the free and getting the yellow card. And then we were talking about players coming on in the 89th minute. Ali Coote comes on, and his yellow card looked like a yellow card for a player that's come on off the bench with no time to impact the game and is frustrated. It looked like a tackle of frustration and picks up a yellow card. That is the 3 yellow cards we had in the match. I would have loved in that match to see someone just clatter someone in the middle of the field and pick up a yellow card if they have to. That just shows a bit of leadership, a little bit of strength, and that you're not going to be bullied on your home turf. And there was none of that from the team. There was no leaders. There was an incident in the centre of the park in the second half where Jack Henry Francis got pushed over off the ball, and I saw red. I was in the main stand. I forgot that I wasn't on the riverside for a second, and I lost it, and I was shouting, going, "Get stuck into them! Don't be bullied off the ball." There was a few F's and blinds from me. Not proud of myself, but that's what happened. That was the emotion coming out. And as I sat down, I sort of went, "Jesus, sorry, there's a few kids around here. I should be more careful." And someone went, "It should be Joey on the sideline shouting that, because he sat there for the full 75 minutes at this stage and not really shouted anything." I think that's a bit harsh on Joey. Maybe we don't see it fully because we're wrapped up in the emotion, but it did seem like a very silent touchline, and it didn't seem like there was much leaders or talking. We spoke last week about players shrugging at each other and not lambasting each other when things weren't going right. And I think it is a very good point made, excuse me, that we are missing a leader. I think Jack Henry Francis can be that leader, because after I berated him, and I think he got more of the brunt of my frustration, and it was more at the team than it was just an individual. I saw him getting stuck in, getting around the pitch. All of a sudden, there was some second lease of life in him. I'm not saying it was because I was shouting at him. Maybe he didn't like being pushed over himself. But then he got whipped. And I'm going, Jesus, we're just getting what we need. And he's been taken off. And there is another comment in the mailbag there from somebody else.
I have one for you there, Collie. Yeah, if you're constantly subbing our better players, no matter what level of football you manage, you'll always have 2 to 3 players who you don't take off. Jack HF, apologies, off again. I don't know why he came off either. I just think he's one of our best players. I think he's one of the best midfielders in the league. I don't know if that's the comment you were alluding to.
That is
that
the
was
one,
from
yeah.
Dar Van Darzer, yeah. But sorry, go on, Collie. It was just, he came off, I think John Martin came off on 60 minutes when it was 2-1. It
wasn't really happening for John Martin.
No, but he's a top scorer,
I know,
you know?
but I actually, for once, I think we can have a little comment on Rodrigo now.
Hmm.
I actually, he was a bit manic. It was a bit chaotic,
Hmm.
but once again, he's
Yeah.
picked up a penalty and got us into the game.
Won
And
the panel. Yeah. Yeah.
it's just really unfortunate that uh, when we got back into the game at 3-3, we then allow ourselves, just just that goal, that fourth goal draw they got. It shouldn't happen from out there. It just shouldn't happen. And I think Spiel was beaten way too easy from that distance. Now it was a fantastic strike. If a Shells player
Hmm.
scored it, I'd be ranting and raving here about it was one of the best goals you'll see in Tolka Park. But it was just soft because he again had lots of time to perfect the skill in that shot and get it into the corner. And yeah, Spiel should do better, but like there should be someone rushing to him and not allowing him have that time. It's We're just soft. We are soft.
Yeah, for sure. There's another comment in here, Dunny. I'll direct this one at you because it's from Paddy Walsh saying Richie Baker said it on League of Ireland TV during the game that the players have to start taking blame. He also said after Freitas won that panel and we converted it that Shells will go on and nick this now. I don't know how much of Shells he's been watching. I just felt like if anyone was going to score, even at 3-3, Drogheda were going to get the goal. Even when we got it back to 3-3, I felt like the lads, they got the ball out of the net and it was like, I don't think they really believe they're going to go on and win this. They take 3-3 right now, you know? What do you
Yeah,
make it?
I mean, there's certainly an argument you could say that it's performative. We've
Hmm.
seen, as I said earlier this evening, it's happened 3 times and we've gotten fuck all out of it. So literally, zero. So, um, yeah, I just don't think I think our brains are broken. To be honest, as a unit, I think I kind of agree with you that 3-3, what we wanted really was the final whistle,
Mm-hmm.
because what Drogheda do, even if they get a free kick in their own half, they've done it for years. They'll get the goalkeeper on it. They'll slow it down. They'll get their goalkeeper on it, and they'll squeeze you as far back towards your own goal as they can. They'll absolutely fill the final third with their own bodies, and they'll work off second balls. And look, the dogs in the street know that we are vulnerable to aerial attack. They know that we're vulnerable to set pieces, and that's what Drogheda played off. You mentioned Lundgren's pitiful effort. The guy's given away more free kicks than had decent touches on the football in the last month, I would say. Every time he gets the ball, it's either given away or a free, or ends in a free kick. I don't know how he's getting on the field as much as he is lately, with people like Ali Cook getting 60 seconds. But
Mm.
him giving away, he did it right in front of me on the terrace on the Riverside second half, and it was just very frustrating. And again, given Drogheda oxygen to be able to do what they do best, squeeze us. Every single player, Drogheda player, went into our half from that incident. The goalkeeper took the free, and again, the momentum that we had just supposedly created, the place is up again.
Dissipated.
For and then just gone into the air because we did something stupid. We played into their hands, and I believe it's Keeley who scored the fourth. That's a
Mm.
centre half.
He gave away the penalty as well, didn't he? Wasn't that him?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Keeley pulling on a shot from 20 odd yards.
Mm.
I believe it was a second phase ball from a set piece that we didn't fully clear either. So I mean that says all you need to know. After 3-3, they were the ones who had the possession of the ball. They're the ones who had the free kick. They're the ones who made us defend, and ultimately we couldn't see our way clear to defend appropriately. 4 goals, conceding 4 goals at home. We didn't concede 4 goals at home to Karabakh,
Mm.
who had a very fine run in Europe. And frankly, we shouldn't have even conceded the 3 that we did.
Mm.
If you remember the sort of mix-ups late in the day that led to their last 2 goals, particularly, like 4 in a game should not happen. 4.5 should be once in a blue moon stuff. And this is like, I feel like I'm on some nightmarish merry-go-round here, sort of saying the same things, because I said that these 3-2 games should be once in a blue moon efforts as well, because they should be. I just saw that Motherwell beat Rangers 3-2 at Ibrox. Rangers were 2-0 down, came back to 2-2, and they did the shells on it. They lost 3-2. And like, people are crying blue mud. That never happens. You know what I mean? That's happening to us 3 times in the last 18 months or whatever it is, twice this season. And now we've gone one worse again. 4 goals to that Drogheda team. Like 4. I mean, there's no way to defend it. I kind of, sorry, I had to cut off Lundgren there just because I'm annoyed, but like, it could be anybody. Like, there's no, other than Harry basically, and maybe John Martin. There's very few people who I think can get away scot-free here without some stink on them from all of this. But unfortunately, I think, and I don't know whether we're going to come around to, I've seen some of the other comments in the mailbag, but like, we have who we have until the summer window. We can't change 20 players, even if we wanted to. And for me, we've spoken about it here, whether it's 4 at the back or 5 at the back, whether Paddy's available or Paddy's not available, whether it's Jack Henry Francis or whether it's Cara McInroy, whether it's John Martin or Freitas or Boyd or whomever. The results and the performances and the capitulations are worse than they've ever been. And our home form is worse than I can ever remember it being 20 years as a Shells fan. And for me, when you boil it down to, okay, what's happening on a macro scale, this group of players are not playing for their manager anymore. And I think ultimately, if we're going to cut to the chase, that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, maybe, because we do know that a lot of these players were the players that we had when we won the league. So you don't just become a bad player overnight, or your mentality doesn't change that much unless there's something really stinking in the dressing room. I don't know, but it's I don't like.
They kind of feel to me, Collie, like they're out of it. They look like they're out of ideas, yeah. and you can dress it up, and we're gonna try this tactic, we're gonna try that tactic, and like the sad thing about it, and like I take, as I hope everybody can understand, I take no pleasure in having to talk like this, but the sad reality is that a lot went right for us on Friday, where our brittleness and our lack of self-belief should have been sort of bolstered, and by the fact that we were 2 goals ahead, there wasn't a sinner of a Drogheda persuasion in the building. Everybody was in good form. Everybody was back in the team. The vibes were good. Like, if you can't, like, how do you turn that into a 4-3 defeat? I don't know. It just shows me that there is no collective. That as soon as the going got tough, it's a group of individuals. It doesn't matter who's in what position or who's coming on for whom. The collective is not there. There is no through line of belief. There is no through line of application for this team to like just see it out. To when you can see the goal, someone just get a little huddle together or whatever and say, right, okay, next 10 minutes we play in their half. We're going to go corner. Because I think everybody I spoke to at halftime on Friday was pleased with our approach. The fact that it was a bit more direct than we had seen previously, that we weren't overplaying in the areas that has cost us so many goals in recent times, particularly the first half against Dundalk and Derry to an extent as well, where we overplayed and coughed up the ball in our third, and that led to their goals. But we didn't do that on Friday last. We got to 51 minutes, still 2 goals to the good, and all it took was one set piece one free header or free-ish. I haven't had the heart to watch that back.
It
I
was free, yeah.
yeah yeah.
I rewatched it there before we came on. Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah,
looked pretty free to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, how with all of the good sort of drops in the bucket that had been there on the night to that point, again, no fans to get behind Drogheda to kind of get them going. They self motivated themselves.
Yeah.
When you see, that's the crux of the thing. They still had a job of work to do. To just the players and the management. They were the only people of a Drogheda persuasion out of 4,500 people, and they had the bollocks between them. Not a great football team, in terrible form, no fans, and they were able to claw their way back into a game and try until they just blew us away. Scored four. When will Drogheda ever score four in such a short space of time in the Premier Division again? It might never happen in my lifetime. And
So what happened at half time, Duddy? Is it because Joey didn't make a sub for the first time in a while? Did he make a sub at half time? I don't think he did.
No, he didn't.
No.
No.
Is that the magic thing? Yeah.
I felt terrible for Freitas as well, because I think our first sub was on 61 minutes where Freitas comes on for Martin and
they score.
Immediately they scored.
Yeah, yeah.
The ball, the next time the referee blew the whistle after restarting the game for after that sub was to restart the match for tip off because they'd scored. And I just felt like, Jesus, this poor lad. Every time he comes on, it's just the house is on fire. Every time you see Freitas on the pitch, like, the house is on fire. We need a goal. Everything's gone to shit. It's falling down around our ears. Can somebody please do something? So, and look, and he did, and he did, but we still managed to mess it up. So, like, I think we need to look at that. Like, so for like to watch a team in Drogheda who have struggled this season as much as ourselves, there's nothing separating us now, only goal difference. That they still had, despite their poor run, the self-belief that they could get back into the game and get one over on us, and just kept plugging away until they did. Whereas we went the opposite way, where as soon as our lead was compromised, we grew smaller and withdrew into ourselves and started making more errors. And as you said, Nev, even when we clawed it back to 3-3, thanks to Freitas winning another penalty, I didn't feel emboldened or confident that we were going to go on and win the game. And Drogheda just took it on the chin, and the next time they got a chance, they made it count again. So we're being, Collie talked about being, physically bullied and that kind of thing, and whatever about that, it's not great for sure. But that, coupled with the mentality of a team on such a bad run, being able to still come in a difficult moment for them to our place and just have the sort of strength of will to push us aside again at home, shows that we don't have a huge amount of fight in us as a collective, as a unit. And I don't see that changing. I think it's gotten worse.
Yeah. Interesting. Well said, Dunny. Like 4-3 on Friday night, I hope it's a scoreline we never see again. Well, unless we win 4-3, obviously. But something else that is 4 and 3 letters. I'll be controversial here, Collie. Joey out. Or are you one of these people that say maybe give Joey time? These aren't Joey's players. These are Jamestown players, and he needs to start moulding them. It's as it. I'm giving you the easy question here. I know you love it. Would you like to see him stay on for a lot longer? I'm just saying it because there was so much of it. I just feel like it has to be said.
No, it has to be spoken about now. But I think you asked me, do we give him time? We don't have time now. That's the problem. If we lose to Dundalk this week and we lose to Bows, and Sligo and Drogheda pick up a few points over the weekend, we are in serious, serious trouble. And a few weeks ago, we were talking about the league maybe getting away from us. Then we were talking about Europe getting away from us. I think we're now talking about the mid-table getting away from us and being in a dogfight, and there is no time. That your question was, do we give them time? There is no time. So I don't want to call for anyone to lose their job. Jesus, I'd hate for someone to be doing that to me, because I'd want, if I was in my job, I'd want to try and rectify what's going wrong. But I think there are people within the club who have a massive decision to make now. And do they make it tonight, tomorrow, or do they wait for this double header weekend? About the Jamestown analytics, is it his players or is it their players? I suppose it's probably a mix. Do they not have those conversations? We're not privy to them, so I don't know. But what I would say is that if you look at the Scottish League, that model seems to be working at the moment, and it's getting ever closer to the Jambos winning the league over there, which would be quite unbelievable. Given where they're at and where Celtic and Rangers are at. So
it can be done. It does work.
It does work. And then if you take Damien Duff's players, I believe we had a mix of Jamestown and Damien Duff's players when we won the league. And it can be done on a smaller budget with players giving everything for when the manager gets things right. And that happened for us. And I'll be forever grateful that we had that moment. I think one of the problems Joey has now is we have an expectation on these players because some of them are league winners. And they're not showing those qualities that they showed 2 years ago or what they showed last season to get us back into Europe when things didn't look that great, when we got that good run. And, you know, our European campaign for a first time ever at that level, it wasn't the worst. I know we didn't score, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. We did have moments that gave us joy and belief. And unfortunately, all those things are gone now at this particular moment in time. And I think the board have serious questions to answer to themselves first and foremost as to where they want to take this club next.
For sure.
And I do fear that it's always the manager that goes. The players don't always get the brunt of it. And I think the players are not covering themselves in glory here either.
No.
And that's how I'd answer that question. So it doesn't really answer your question, I suppose, Nev. I'm sorry, but
no.
I just don't like calling for a fella to lose his job. You know, and
especially just on this form,
someone that has been a great coach for us.
Absolutely,
he has given us an awful lot, and he has been a linchpin within that whole setup behind Duff. There's no doubt he's a very good coach. As a manager, he seemed to have a great record going into this season. It just doesn't seem to be working now. And maybe I'm answering the question by just talking. I don't know,
No, it's just it's not hard to find any faults, because I only noticed today that 12 games played, so we're a third of the way through the season, 13 points. Multiply that by 3, that's 39 points. That's what Waterford and Galway finished on last season, 9th and 8th, respectively. It's just, it's worrying. You look at Spurs in the Premier League, the battle they're in, we don't want to see ourselves falling into that. And look, I'm just repeating what we all said.
I did say in a WhatsApp group, I said shells. I know we got to say that could be quite shellsy, but I did say we're the Spurs of Ireland now at the way that things are going at the moment, which is a depressing comment to make in itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hate Spurs, but we're turning into that. And look,
I don't even like referencing the English league when it comes to our league. No. But look, that's where we're at.
Just for the Barstoolers, Collie, they're tuning in too. But look, I don't know what else to say on that, lads. We can just move on to next week.
Next misery.
I nearly can't believe I'm saying it. A Friday, Monday against in form Dundalk. They actually had a shock defeat at the weekend, which did us no favours. Sligo beat them and leapfrogged ahead of us. And then Bows on Monday, who are playing quite poorly themselves. I think it's only 2 points from 5 for them. So not many people talking about that, maybe because we're so focused on ourselves. But will I give you the best news about those two games, lads? You probably know what I'm going to say.
They're not on television?
They're not in Talca.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true enough.
So I don't know how much you want to talk about them in general. It's a Friday, Monday. Tickets go on sale tomorrow for the
They've
Dundalk
actually
game
only
for the
been
season
shown on
ticket holders.
television once this season.
You were saying that. Is that
Yeah,
home and away or just home?
just the one match. That's it.
Home and away.
That's it.
Yeah. With our gorgeous football, they don't want to show us on TV.
I was wondering, did they have this notion that they were going to show us at the end of the season when we're challenging for the league or something, and that's where all our games will come? But now it looks like they've scuppered their own coverage because they'll just be watching us in a dogfight the way it's going, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's just an interesting...
But look, Dunny, is there anything you want to say about the upcoming games this weekend? Is there anything we want to see from the team? Just a bit of fight, I suppose. Dundalk is a tricky pitch to go to.
Well, I mean, anywhere feels like it would be difficult at this moment, Nev. But yeah, I mean, dog fight, is that dog hyphen fight, or is it a compound word? I'm not sure, but I know half of it is fight, and that's something that we're sorely lacking, unfortunately. So, as things stand, I think pound for pound, we are the team in the division with the least amount of fight. Yeah. So like I extrapolated the numbers exactly the same as yourself, Nev, just to see where this would have taken us in 39 points. Yeah. Had Waterford in the playoff game at Talca last year against Bray Wanderers, which they nearly blew. Bray took the lead in that game. So these are the fine margins that you're dealing with, and that figure of 13 points that we have. Obviously, 10 of those are away from home. When our home form was actually pretty decent, I think that was before our brains broke. I don't know if we can go and get 10 points on the road from the next set of games or the next third of the season. I hope we can, obviously. I hope it turns around immediately. But my feeling, kind of just to look forward to the weekend doubleheader, is that I think this will probably determine what happens with Joey. I just can't imagine a scenario where we would lose 6 games in a row, and feel that we just keep on trucking with what we have, particularly if the performances continue in the vein that they are. Hopefully they turn around, obviously. I don't think Dundalk are a particularly phenomenal football team. I think we have better players than them in almost every position. But they have the things that we don't have. They have the commitment, the unity of purpose. They have the fight. And they know, as we've spoken about, they know who they are and they know what they can and can't do. We haven't got a clue what we can and can't do right now, it seems. And Bows are, I'd say ourselves and Bows are probably the two least informed teams in the division, seeing as Waterford picked up a point and Sligo are on a 3-game winning streak. So I imagine, I mean, going to Dalymount, can you ever be confident of an away win, even when things are going well? Not really. Reynolds is starting to feel the heat again. I spoke, and look, I was trying to be positive last week. I spoke about Stephen Kenny having a sticky patch and coming through it, and now they're top of the league. I spoke about Alan Reynolds being sung down the tunnel at halftime in Tala last year by his own fans, saying that he's going to be sacked in the morning, and he got them to the top of the league this year, and everybody thought it was great. He's kind of, the cycle keeps on cycling, and he's now at the bottom of that wheel again, as they've lost however many they've lost in a row or failed to win, and however many it is. So look, he needs to get a tune out of his team as well, and I'm sure seeing as he's been able to come to Talca, take the piss the last few times, I'm sure he'll be relishing Monday's game probably more than we will. So I think it might hinge on, can we get something on Friday just to buttress this complete slide, just to arrest the damage of loss after loss after loss after loss. 5 losses in a row is pretty catastrophic when you can, in a 36 game division. So Look, I hope we get something from it. I mean, until I see it, lads, at this stage, we talked this podcast being based on science. Until we see the evidence that something has changed, I'm afraid I've just got to go with what we've seen for the last couple of months, and I don't hold out a huge amount of hope that we'll have many points the next time we talk on this pod, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's hard to have much optimism. But Collie, sorry, just the last thing on this. Were you up in Dundalk recently for the rise of Sean Moore?
Yes,
You saw, was that on the Astro pitch that's up
it
there?
was.
Well, I see you up there. I hope to get a ticket myself.
I can't go on Friday
Feeling
night.
optimistic?
I can't go on Friday night.
No.
Unfortunately, I have to do a day job, a late shift. So
you won't get to see the league's worst away end. I absolutely hate it. That corner
it's
they
an awful ground.
make us stand on.
Look,
it's terrible.
It's been spoken about. The only thing more awful than that away end at the moment is our performances, and I'm really worried that we'll get nothing from that game. I'm really worried that I'm hoping against hope. But I'm really worried that we'll have no points at the end of this week, and it's been a long time since we've been speaking like that. It's not so long ago we were looking at these Friday, Monday games and going, "Oh God, we only ever get 3 points or 4 points." I'd bite your bloody hand off now for that. And I don't know if that will happen. I think, as Dunny says, Bows are going to be licking their lips that they have us with their form not being that great either.
They have 2 home games. I think they're home to Derry, I believe, on Friday. So they're probably looking at that as a promising weekend to get out of their own rut. But I don't know, lads. Let's hope next week a bit more cheerfulness. And look, let's see for the men's team this weekend. We'll just touch on the women's team, Dunny, if you don't mind. Not a great weekend for them either. Not a great Saturday. Also blowing a 2-0 lead after 2 cracking goals. A red card that I thought was a little harsh, but maybe just the Shell's bias for Leah Doyle. But what did you make of it, Dunny? Were Rovers they just kicked on with about 20 minutes to go, didn't they?
They certainly did. That's one way of framing it, anyway. Look, I'm an emotional man, so I probably had no business after Friday.
An exhausting weekend for you, Dunny, was it?
putting my hand out to be slapped again by going out to Tala. But fair play to the 50 or 60 or so Reds who made their way out there in good voice and in decent number, and were treated to about an hour's worth of pretty good stuff. Rovers aren't a bad side, but we were certainly superior, I thought. Maya Sanchez had one good save to make from distance in the first half, but other than that, it was most of the good stuff was coming from us. Avian Clancy scored after 10 minutes, and we were kind of on our way then. 1-0 at half time, and I felt that the next goal would be important because Rovers had periods of pressure without really having too many clear-cut chances. And so then when Maeve Walmer did what Maeve Walmer is increasingly doing ever more these days, again, I haven't had the heart to watch any of the content back, but an absolute incredible goal that I said to the people around me at the time, the Frasers, I think, were next to me, just saying that's got to be right up there for goal of the season candidate. It was phenomenal, and it was a pleasure and a privilege to be there and see it. Little did we know, of course, that the highway to hell was about to open up under our feet moments after, but
really out of nowhere, was it? I only saw the highlights myself, so just didn't see it coming. No,
oh boy, okay.
Sorry, regroup.
No, there's a lot in it, unfortunately, because okay, so we scored on 51 minutes, the exact same minute actually that Drogheda had scored against us the previous night, but we were 2-0 up with less than a half an hour to play. We took off Brienne Severance, our only striker, our only fit striker at the club. It would seem, and everything fell apart after that. Rovers did push on a little bit as they would at home, 2-0 down. Nothing stopping them just having a go. But it was pressure and corners and that type of thing. Ultimately, they did score from a corner, but we lost all manner of semblance of an idea of what we were doing after that substitution. We took off Bree Severance, who has gotten much better at her role, which is, as we've said multiple times now, top of the tree, get it into feet or get it down under control and lay it off to somebody else running from midfield. She's getting very good at that. And that's all we can do because she's all we have. And when she left, when she was taken off, I don't know if there was an injury or whatever. She hadn't gone to ground, or it seemed like maybe she was probably just tired. It was a hot day. And look, she does a lot of thankless running. It's by definition of the role, I suppose. And Olivia D'Amico came on for her. Now, she's played left back and left wing since she's been at the club. I suppose she'd consider herself probably a wide attacker. And she went up front, I suppose, in a kind of a false nine role. I think the idea was, look, we're 2-0 up here. There's less than a half an hour to go. Just don't do anything silly. Hit the channels. And so long as we have a fit, anybody up there who can just run after it, harry and hassle and try and pick up second balls or force Rovers to clear the ball long or just put them under a bit of pressure. There was a moment then as well where D'Amico swapped with Aoife Kelly, and it seemed like, is Aoife Kelly going up front here just because she's particularly tall? And it just looked like we were in a bit of shambles when it came to knowing what were we doing. And you could say that that's a coincidence as to what happened next, but we conceded from a corner, and on 66 minutes. So again, we're talking basically by the restart, 25 minutes to go, and we're still ahead. 2 minutes after that is the Leah Doyle incident. Now, I haven't seen it back, but in real time, it looked like she was too concerned about the player on her shoulder when she had the body line and the angle to just play the football. And she was too worried about who was over her right shoulder and not worried enough about just getting good contact to pass it back to the goalkeeper or to clear her lines. As she was running facing her own goal, she pulled the player back, or there was some contact. The player goes down. I double checked online about this double jeopardy rule about, if it's going to be a straight red card and a penalty, that only comes into effect if the player was making an honest attempt to play the ball. She dragged the player back, so that doesn't count. I had heard someone mention double jeopardy in the stand on as it happened in real time.
Right.
So then there's basically 20 minutes left after to go, and it's now 2-2, and we're a player down. And I've written here in the notes, time to shut up shop. So we have 20 minutes to play. We are the superior team, but we've come undone. We've come unstuck a little bit here. You're away from home. Take the 2-2. Take the leather off the ball. Be canny. The goalie goes down, has to change a shin guard or a contact lens or whatever it might be. We bring on Nia Hannon for Clancy on 72 minutes to try and do that, because obviously we've lost a defender. And with less than 10 minutes to go, it's still 2-2. And then 82, 85, 91, we capitulate and we concede 3 goals. And we never looked like getting back into the game. We were too... I felt sorry for D'Amico running around like a blue arse fly up front, just trying to close things down. We were ragged. We didn't seem to be able to get out of our own way, basically for the last 10 minutes. And it was it was pretty tragic actually to watch what had been such a great hour or more to go away from home. We've never actually won a league game in Tala. As to the best of my knowledge, we've won cup games and so on there. But so and look, we've talked about the negative impact that draws even can have when you're trying to go for the league in this division. This was a killer blow. This was a killer blow to confidence. This was a killer blow to attempts for the league. It means we're already behind the 8 ball. Meaning we're going to have to go and we're going to have to beat Galway next week. We're going to have to, if it is next week, I think it is. We're going to have
Cork
to beat,
away next, I think.
oh, sorry, Cork
then
and then
Galway.
Galway. Apologies, the next home game. Yeah, we'll beat Cork, I'm sure, and then it'll be a big one against Galway. But it means again, like that, we're going to have to go and beat Athlone in Athlone or Atalca. We've given ourselves a real uphill task here, and I'm almost loath to bring it up, but I know some people will be probably thinking it and wondering, will I say it? So I may as well go ahead and say it. I don't know how we've ended up where we are regarding the striker situation. Where it's we're the senior team of one of the most decorated and best in class football clubs on the women's side in the country, and we have one striker available to the first team. We have nobody on the bench who plays that position. Now, our under-23s team has, I think they have 4 wins from 4, and
they beat
our
Drogheda
joint
this
top.
week.
I presume they play with a striker. I haven't seen. I presume they have at least one. How we don't have one on the bench at this juncture. And look, when things were going well, I was saying, well, we're doing our best with a limited hand. We're getting the goals from midfield, and that's what happened again the other day. We got 2 goals from our midfield players, but we knew that we were losing Gemma Quinn. We knew that we didn't have Kate Mooney until the summer, and Sean Russell at the fans forum said that he basically knew that the proviso was to this gig to come in, you have to win the league. So with that in mind, I am bereft of an answer as to how we have ended up telling Noelle Murray that her services are not required when we literally don't have anyone else to play the position. Emily Kraft remains AWOL. I had heard from someone, a volunteer at the club, I think at the Dundalk game a few weeks back, that it was a legitimate injury and that it would be a matter of weeks and she'd be back involved. I'll take that at face value, but as things drag on and we get no more updates or no updates at all, I still feel that I am unlikely to ever see her in a red shirt. I hope I'm proven wrong. But something feels off there. And again, if she's not able to play, and we knew about Kate Mooney, I don't think that going in, I don't think that any manager at any level of football would say having one fit striker to try and go and win a league is optimal. Noelle Murray played 70 minutes, started and played 70 minutes for Athlone on Saturday in a 2-0 win. She played against Wexford. She played 62 minutes the previous week for Athlone in a 2-0 win against Peamount. She played 80 minutes the week before for Athlone in a 2-0 win against Cork. So the team that have won everything there is to win in the game in the last few years have decided that she's good enough to play quite a lot of football for them. And she wanted to be playing with us. And we told her that she wasn't needed or that her services weren't required anymore. But we didn't fill the gap adequately for me. And it maybe I'm putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5. But when I saw what happened when the only striker we had left the pitch early the other day, to see such a capitulation, not helped by the red card, obviously, I'll take that into account. Excuse me, I'll take that into account. Getting emotional here, lads. I just feel we've hamstrung ourselves, and to what end, I don't know. To what was the point in the controversy? In what was the point in the upset? And look, you can't tell me that if Noelle Murray was in her 10th season with us and available for selection, that she wouldn't be playing these games, either coming off the bench or starting. She simply would, because we don't have anybody else. So I feel that it's a it's a shame. It's a missed opportunity. It's one game, and look, hopefully we bounce back and we beat Cork well next week, and then it's a big one against Galway. I just feel we had the 3 points in the bag. We had given a good account of ourselves, and it fell apart so dramatically. It's much like the men the night before. It's more than just a loss when it happens the way that it happened. So it was very upsetting to be to be witness to it. And yeah, and look, as the other teams like Athlone continue to continue to win, we are already in a difficult spot.
A tough loss, all right, Dunny, especially in a Dublin derby. And I can't shake D'Amico coming on up front. Like, a fine player, but to me, it'd be like us putting Norris up front. You'd be like, I don't see what the point is in that. Yeah, it might latch on to a ball over the top or something, but that is a strange one.
Hattie Harcourt was there. Again,
Yeah.
she's not a striker and she is very young, but she is a fast, tricky attacker.
Yeah.
Who knows where the goal is. So I would have thought, surely, if you want someone to run the channels to disrupt defenders and to try and make something happen, particularly if you're just, you're happy to sort of to put the ball into Rovers half and see what happens, that she would be the first person, and really the only person with the attributes required to do that. So yeah, I agree, Nev. I think it was the wrong choice. Even with that, I couldn't have foreseen how badly wrong it would go. But it was a total collapse after that, and I feel really sorry for everybody involved, like, because I kind of feel like now, sort of, what are we doing? Like, if we punt this season away, you know what I mean? Like, if Kate Mooney comes back when the race is half run, maybe we could hopefully go on and win the cup or something. Or I feel for Rachel Graham, I feel for Pearl Slattery. Like, these are the the twilight years of the careers of some of the best players to ever pull on a Shells jersey, and we're kind of just punting on them. We're kind of just sacking off the last few. Pearl doesn't have another 5 years to try and win a league. For the time for her and for Rachel is now, and that was supposed to be the agenda for this season. And I feel when it comes to the striking department, anyway, we are not prepared adequately for the title push.
Yeah. Well, look, it is still early days, but I know you've said a few times that wins in this league are just so vital. And look, Collie, the girls have 10 points from 5 games. Cork away next, should be winning that. And then Galway, I think, are actually playing Peamount. So you never know what could happen there. And then suddenly that Galway game is huge for possibly getting to the top of the table or thereabouts. Is it on the girls just to brush off this result and just move on? Because every game is just so big and important.
Yeah, it is a case of just put it behind you and get on with it. I think 5-2 doesn't really reflect the full game. Now, we're giving out about the lads conceding 4 goals in 45 minutes, and then the girls do it in half that again. But, like, it was very different, It was... I felt for Leah Doyle. I've been there myself. I felt Cooper caught her for pace. And just that moment of panic, you grab a hold of the shirt. She pulls Cooper down, and I thought it was a penalty and it was a red card, and like Manning did the same thing for Ireland not so long ago. Defenders sometimes have that wobble. It does happen. But like even Sanchez nearly saved the penalty. You know what I mean? It was so close to a save. And then that changes the whole
Yeah.
complexion of that game again. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be. And then, as Dunny says, we did lose our way completely. I have a note here. We stopped putting our foot in the ball. We stopped doing the little things that we were doing well. We stopped doing those things well. And I think Dunny has covered an awful lot there of what I had in my notes. The 2 goals we scored were 2 of the finest goals you'll ever see. Like Wallamer was going for a player of the match award in the assist and in the goal, and then Jess Gargan was class. Kelly was class again. Just like there was so much about that performance that was good. The only one I'm disappointed with was the nature of the 4th goal was a bit disappointing. The 5th goal was the nature of that one. The 4th goal was a jammy goal, unlucky bounce. But I think there's something to learn there about put the ball into the box, get in and challenge for it, and if it could break your way. And I think any team can learn from that. And Rovers did that. Rovers started to put severe pressure on us by just pumping the ball in. Unfortunately, when it was 3-2, I think there was a great through ball. I think Perlo should be closer to her player. But look, these things happen. Unfortunately, in the women's league, if you're losing matches, you are not winning leagues. And it's just whether it was 3-2 or 5-2, I don't think it really matters, because once we were losing that game, it's you're in trouble league wise, and all they can do now is rally together and try and go on to win as many games as possible for the rest of the season, and hopefully it'll be good enough. But at the moment, the way Galway are, they seem very strong. At loan, seem very strong. I did feel at the start of the season that players come and go. It's the nature of football, and that you just have to look. Sometimes players, their journey comes to an end with a club, and from there you just move on. I think hindsight, it's now showing that maybe there was a wrong call made, especially without the backup that we need. And the only person that can answer those questions that Dunny has is Sean Russell, and he's not going to answer them. So therefore, he lives or dies by that sword. You know what I mean? And we need Mooney back now. That's just it's.
Yeah, well, I see, Nev, that we had a question into the mailbag about what Sean Russell might learn from Saturday, and
Yes.
Genuinely, we have an excellent goalkeeper. I think we've upskilled there. We have an excellent defense as a unit. Our fringe defenders are ever improving, and I think we're good there. Obviously, which is crazy, but prior to the last half hour on Saturday, we'd only conceded 1 league goal all season. Our midfield, for me, is the best in the division, the best in the country. So the only place where we're lacking is where, the aforementioned striking area. So if I was Sean Russell, I'd be shaking every tree from Kilester Donny Carney. That's where we got Gemma Quinn from, in her 30s, someone who came in from amateur football at Kilester Donny Carney and became a cult hero for us. Scored, big goals in the league, obviously memorable goals in the cup finals, and ended up playing in the Champions League with us. I'm not saying that that's immediately where you'd look, but I wouldn't be turning my nose up at any striker who's available and in form, and I'd be looking to the academy and being like, okay, we've spoken about this, that there are very young players that get first team appearances for the women's team. It's the nature of the game in this country, and no more so than Hallie Harker, who we've spoken about, who scored when she was 15 for us last year. So it wouldn't be unusual to look to the younger age groups and see, okay, well, who's doing well underage, who plays up front.
There was
I just can't believe that there wouldn't be someone who couldn't even come and do a job off the bench for 10, 15 minutes in a game, if nothing else, to give Bree Severance a break, because it's unsustainable to have one player to try and play 90 minutes of every game. She started in the All Ireland Cup games as well. You know what I mean? Where you sort of nominally would rotate players, but we can't rotate her because we literally don't have another striker. So, as I said, I'd be shaking every tree and looking under every rock for someone who could come in and give us 10 to 20 good minutes even off the bench. That would be where I'm putting my emphasis. Unfortunately, I feel that that's work that probably should have been already done.
Yeah, we scored 5 goals against Drogheda in the Women's Development League this weekend. So there's definitely goals there. I know it was 5 different goal scorers, but there's no harm in giving them, as you said, 10 minutes and see what comes out of it. It could be the moment of genius, and Sean Russell will be looking like the best manager in the world if he does bring one of those players in, and all of a sudden they get on the score sheet, and then all these troubles are over. But at the moment, he's under big pressure.
And that's a new age group. That's a new age group as well, Collie. The under 23. So it's a broader scope for player ages and so on. So it's not like I'd be asking them to go and plunder the under 11s. You know what I mean? Like these are players who are already mixing it with adults.
And I think some of those players,
adult football.
I think some of those players, if they weren't with the under 23s, under 23 development team with Shells, they could be playing for maybe some of the lower clubs in the league at this level.
Be at DLR or somewhere.
So they're choosing to put themselves into that team because they have ambition to be as best they can be. It's just, I wouldn't be losing.
It just seems like a huge omission to me. I just can't. When things are going well, and look, maybe I hold my hands up and say, maybe I should have been banging the drum on this when we were winning games.
I know. I think we had intended at the start of the season to talk about the women's team a little bit more, and for whatever reason, we didn't really get to do the pre-season talk about the women's team that we hoped to do. And I think now some of the things that you were discussing tonight is what was on your mind previously. Yeah. And I think we were giving Sean Russell the benefit of the doubt. But look,
young manager,
and
inexperienced maybe,
and lots of and again, look, I'm not trying to say that the sky is falling after one bad 25-minute period.
No.
I've gone from goalkeeper through. We have a very good team full of very good players, and I just that's almost part of the reason why it's that bit extra more perplexing, because I feel like we're kind of doing it with one hand tied behind our back a little bit in a very important area of the field. We're just underserved, and I think we should have gone into this with eyes open, and made necessary adjustments to the squad, and unfortunately at the minute we're still probably a month or more away from seeing Kate Mooney, and what happens between now and then. By the time she comes back, it could be all over bar the shouting in one way direction or another when it comes to the league, whether it's at loan or go away or whatever. Hopefully not. Hopefully we can get back on the horse and keep getting the goals from midfield, keep doing the good things that we're doing. But I'd be concerned, if Bree felt that she had to come off on a hot day after an hour of running around. I don't blame her whatsoever. It's not her fault.
A lot of minutes. She's played a lot. Yeah.
Exactly. There should be somebody there to help manage the load, and that's just the long and short of it.
Yeah. Well said, lads. Look, big weekend for the girls. The Cork away. Hopefully get the result down there and kick on and push for this league title. Like we said, they're only 5 points behind Galway, and we play them soon. Last year, it was league title was the only European spot. I think it's still the same for this year, but I could be wrong. Dunny, is it 2 now or 1 still?
I believe that runners up gets a Europa League spot this year. Now,
That'd be lovely.
Yeah, I believe so. They've kind of, when you try and look at it online, it's a little bit fudgy. But I do believe that this year will be the first time that there's a secondary competition that we can qualify for, and runners up would get that. Which is, if you had a season where you won the cup and got into European football by finishing runners up, right now, I'd probably take that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I my gut. I'll double check for next week, but I'm pretty sure that there is 2 European spots this year. But yeah, look, like I said, for not just for Pearl and Rachel and whatever, but for everybody, like there's a lot of quality in this team. I just would hate to think that we have to sort of punt on an entire season because we weren't properly prepared in a particular area of the field.
Yeah. Well said. Look, eventful bank holiday weekend coming up. Hopefully not as eventful as I'm calculating you witnessed 14 goals between 2 Shells games, 9 against. Let's hope none of that again. Like I said, the girls have Cork away on Saturday. The lads are also away, Dundalk and Bowes. So Talca at least is getting a bit of a rest. That's about it, lads. I mean, there's not much else to cover, really. It was a crazy weekend, unless anyone else has anything they'd like to raise before we wrap up.
Just very briefly.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to acknowledge that, like, we have this podcast now. You have three other podcasts, all Shells related. Although things seem pretty grim at the moment, there is a lot of content out there, and it's great to hear it all. And it should be acknowledged that each of the podcasts have their own little vibe, own little feel. It's really good to see and hear, and long may it last. And that, like, it's great that we had, with no away fans, 4,500 people in the ground last week. It reminded me of the 90s. It reminded me of the 90s, where you could go anywhere in the ground, floating around, and there was lots of European accents and languages been spoken around the ground at the weekend. It was great to hear, and ground hoppers in. So there is lots of positives. It's just, I know it seems very negative at the moment. And then I do have one more little gripe, which I hate to be ridiculing people who are volunteers, because at the end of the day, they're the backbone of the club. But you mentioned Emily Craft there a moment ago, Dunny. You said she's gone AWOL. I would say we don't know where Chuck was this weekend. I would say that everyone is doing their best to get information. I understand that the club don't want to give out the medical records of players. Players don't want their little niggles to be sent off into the ether for everyone to know every little problem they have, because other players will then play on that if they find out they have an injury or whatever. I remember famously Brian O'Driscoll saying he was 90% injured half the time and not wanting anyone to know any injuries because opposition will play on that. But I do think the club could do a little bit better in giving information out when it comes to absenteeism from players, because I don't think it's on purpose, but I do feel it's a disregard for the season ticket holders and the punters coming every week that we're not being given that information.
Yeah, it was a little strange to see, like, good news about 3 players, where Joey openly mentioned in Ben, Casey, and Meepo to say that they'd be back hopefully in 3 weeks. That's a departure from the norm, where he's named players and he's given a return date potentially, and it's pretty soon. So I was quite surprised by that in a positive way, but I hadn't really thought about it until you mentioned it then. But then is there the sin of omission, where you hear the three lads and I'm thinking, oh, that's good, but I'm not thinking about the guys they didn't mention. Rossi's not mentioned,
Yeah.
and Norris obviously isn't mentioned as well.
And also,
and look, I would say, sorry,
Yeah.
Kyle, I would just say that that's probably coming from the manager as well. Like I have a feeling that he is deliberately saying, what he wants to say, and no word more than what he wants to say. I don't like it very much either.
I think it adds to the disconnect.
It's from him.
I think if
it doesn't help.
If Joey is to stay on, that adds to the disconnect between the fans and the club and the players, and it's unfortunate. I think, and I think it just needs to be mentioned. And then I think it could be a direction as well that's given rather than error.
Yeah. To give the club a pat in the back, I would say that the 4,500 people who did come on Friday and enjoyed the first half, where I thought the club did very well there, because obviously we weren't expecting to be hit. Thanks FAI to be hit with the financial producer giving us the thumbs up there. The financial demonetization effectively is what was given to us through no fault of our own, through the legacy issue from Droghada's behaviour in Dundalk. But despite our form being in the toilet at home, the club was able to be creative, to pivot, to pull on the levers of affiliate clubs and so on, and get that many bodies into the ground for a very, very healthy very, very healthy gate. So big respect there. That shows that people are on the ball, that people are being proactive, and rather than just saying, well, what could we do? So I definitely think that just didn't happen by accident, that the numbers went up from the previous home game. So credits due there. And look, hopefully some of those who might have come for the first time enjoyed the chaos of it, at least, that they might come back again sometime soon.
Well said, lads. Some positives there, and especially with the growth of the club. Sometimes you forget how much we've grown, and 4 podcasts, as you mentioned, Collie, and I only got a Facebook memory there the other day from 10 years ago where we got drawn against Dundalk in the Cup, and it might as well have been Real Madrid. We were just never going to probably get a shot on target against them. And now look at us. Look, we're giving out about being in the top division and not competing for Europe and stuff like this. And it's good times, lads. It is good times. And it's going to be a fun weekend, I bet. Listen, thanks to everyone for listening. We'll wrap it up there. Give us a following and a rating on Apple and Spotify if you don't already. Lads, thanks for hanging on for that. That was a great episode. And looking forward to the weekend.
Nice one, guys. To talk to you soon.
See you.
Cheers, lads.